Okay, there you go. Great. Okay. Onegaishimasu. Great. So we'll continue from yesterday. Those who we're going to look kind of working on the basics and then looking at variations on them. And yesterday we were working more with the bokken. We only worked with the bokken yesterday. So today we'll work with the jo, and we'll do a little bit of taijutsu work towards the end. So we'll just start again with the seitai movement. So we'll do the same as yesterday. So the first, just working on the kind of basic, nice and easy, working on the vertical line. Let's get the body moving. Okay, great. And we'll do the same, taking it into a slightly more flexible form. Before each time, we're just going to drop the body down. So just let the body relax towards the bottom. You're going to a little bit of an up down movement. Keep the knees nice and relaxed, but just let the weight sink through the upper body. Feel the weight really entering the feet. Relax in the spine. Just coming up, and you're going to say that same motion, but make it a little bit more flexible. Less the kind of movement. Just and try and think about kind of the spine releasing kind of wave through it. So in the same way you do this kind of inside outside kind of wave pattern. Look for that same kind of idea. Yep, yeah. So a nice free movement. Passing vertical. Just experiment a little bit. A little bit. In the body. Good, and then taking it into front and back. Just want to be clean basic. Working the balance, front and back. Good, and again, just dropping the body down, just releasing it. Again, just, you want to add a little bit of a front and back movement into it. Working the chest. The arm's going to slightly come out in between the legs. Again, just want to really release the upper body, feel the weight in the lower body. Lengthening through the spine. Slowly working up, and then that same idea, going from this kind of, in a way, like a pendulum kind of movement into more of a wave through the body. So really allow that movement to kind of pass through, especially focusing on the spine, kind of roll through the spine. Great, and then taking it side to side. So again, you just want to kind of like a pendulum swinging, especially now that the arms kind of drag the body down. The weight just going to settle down. Swing the weight over to one leg. Back to the other. Great, and again, just dropping the body down, releasing it, and just have a little bit of side to side movement. So again, let the weight, the same motion, let the weight settle from foot to foot, and just kind of dragging the arms sideways. Just trying to get that sense of a wave through the spine. Keeping that motion, slowly bringing the body up, and keep the sense of a wave passing through the spine. And you've got the extension length of the spine. Keep that feeling that the center of the body is going to guide that motion. The motion much more flexible now. Great. Okay, good. And then going into a rotation. So you want a nice base of keeping the spine nice and straight. Swaying to one side, to the other. And the arms nice and heavy. Then wrap around the body. And again, just letting the body drop down and introduce that same kind of spiral through the body. So the body's going to slightly rotate the arms. And try and get that sense of a wave passing all the way from the hips to the neck and also to the fingers. Get nice and slowly, just pulling the body up, just keeping that motion. And we'll let the body follow it. So that same rotation work, but again, a little bit more flexible. Bring it a little bit more over to the front, also a little bit over to the back. Back of the spine. Okay, good. And then the last direction is inside out, so opening and closing. Again, you just want to have a nice clear base. It will be fully opening, fully closing the body down. Most of it can come in from the pelvis, so let that really guide the motion. Let the hands, neck, and just follow that impulse from the center. Great, and again, just dropping the body down, let it release towards the ground. Just look at that same motion inside. Again, the same thing, just slowly starting to draw the body up. Really into a kind of wave motion now, all the way through the body. Really exaggerate this, going all the way down. Nice, that's the back. Great, and then keep that motion, the wave, and then just think about adding in another direction. So it can be the side, it can be a rotation, it can be a little bit of an upwards movement. Just keep that sense of the wave moving, just let it take on another direction. And what you're looking for now, as well as kind of wave through the body, is spiral through the body. So you're going to start to work in all directions. A nice balanced movement, but really feel free to explore the full range of motion of the body as well. Again, also feel free to move the feet a little bit. Move around. Really move in all directions. Okay, and then just play with one thing, which is working kind of big movements, and then really think about condensing them down. So you start to make them smaller and smaller, but still keeping that same flexibility for the body. A little bit smaller, and you start to expand it out again. Don't think too much about the direction, just kind of follow the movement. Smaller, so much focusing on the direction, but focusing on the movement of the center. The hips. Keeping the knees nice and relaxed. Let the arms just follow them. Great, and then similar idea, just fully come to a stop, find a kind of nice relaxed point, and then start a movement. Let it finish, draw back to the center. So it can be really subtle, but you want to really find that kind of stillness. And then draw it back. Nice neutral position. Right back into the center. You want to keep all the time the sense that the center is directing the movement. So it's initiating it, and it's also got the sense of drawing back to the body. Never really allowing the pressure of the body to take over the movement. But still keeping a flexibility where the movement passes. So, great, and then really similar. Again, the same thing, just releasing the body nice and relaxed. And now you're just going to move the body. So again, find a nice stillness. And then just think about taking the movement. Move the feet. Find a stillness in that position. Find another movement. Nice and relaxed. Don't worry so much about the arms or the movement. You just want to take the body in direction. Let the feet follow the hip width. Any movement. Realize how to find that stillness first. Take your time, find the middle of the movement. Somewhere else. Great, and then keep that sense, just play with a few movements now. So keeping the body in motion. And the feet are really going to kind of really pliably move. Keep the body nice and round. centered. You look into the middle and just stop every so often, find the ground, find the middle of the posture, and go back into movement. Contact with the ground. Be flexible. Okay, great. Okay, take a Joe. It would start with a few nice simple suburi. So again, just look for that stillness. Really find the middle of the posture. Look for enough length of the spine. And again, really working this idea of coming out from the center, finding the ground, working out back from the center. Really smooth movements. Taking your time in both positions. Okay, good. Just mix this in with two as well. So you've got coming over the top, finding this position, finding this key. The key point is that the very first motion. So the real tendency here is to start with the hand, draw back, and then find a thrust. Or start in the hand. Or the other one is that the hand's already kind of active before you started the motion. So it's already kind of creeping forward. So just to get really allow yourself to find that motion. And the key point is that very first motion here. Let the feel like the center's pressing into the jaw. So everything's going to go into motion at the same time rather than the hand starting. Really think about the whole body working out together. Working together. Mix in one and two. And really break the movement down so you don't have to do the first every time. The key part is that transition into movement. Okay, great. We'll take it to number 3. So that same idea, really a little bit more tricky now. So again, the tendency is to come out of the body in the same way like yesterday. This idea of I'm going to load the front foot and then change it. But again, look really the middle of the position here, and then think about spiraling to the ground, drawing the jaw into the body, and you're going to extend it out to the back. So really get just that very first motion as you make the change, draw the jaw to the system. Pressing that to the back. Yeah, in the same way, there's a tendency in this to do this in kind of 2. So kind of the arm moves and the jaw's kind of staying motionless and then coming into it. The same thing can happen here. So I move the arm, but the jaw's still motionless. So think about the jaw being connected to the body. As soon as you move, the jaw's in motion. So as soon as you start the motion, or you think about starting the motion, let the jaw join the movement as well. Let the jaw join that movement. So just play with 1, 2, and 3. 1's probably the easiest to find this. You want the jaw's already in motion. As soon as you go, it's in motion. As soon as you go, it's in motion. So you're obviously going to go towards a little bit more of a flexible form, but just work on this idea. Even with the basic, you don't want to kind of go 1, 2. Although it's possible, you want to, as much as possible, keep all the movement together. Even when you've broken the movement down into parts. Let the jaw follow the body as well. Yeah, good. That's it. Yeah. Great, and we'll just take these basics, just make them a little bit more flexible with the footwork. So I don't always think about the strike, think about, again, the motion. So you're gonna start with the Joe just in the front, Joe come up, and think about taking these movements into different directions, or any direction. And just focus on, again, that movement, bringing the whole body together. Don't worry about the strike, but use 1, 2, and 3 as a kind of different variations on it. So really just work on that idea the whole body goes together into the motion. Just like that, the last part of the strike is nice and soft. Just want to focus on the body working together. Great, okay, and then just focus on that, the last 10% of the movement, so the final thrust, the focus. And again, trying to get a little bit of flexibility into it. So in the same way we were doing yesterday with the sword work, that sense of a wave, where the sense is going to kind of hit the ground and then the Boken's going to follow it. So that same kind of idea, the same in the Joe work. So you've got the center hitting the ground, yeah, and then the strike coming out of it. So again, that sense of the strike being grounded in something. Because we train a lot of the basics in this kind of static way, the tendency is like lock that whole movement together, so everything finishes together, which is just where you start. It's not a bad way to train, it's just the way you kind of get the coordination for it. So, but try and look for now, start in the position already, but just get that sense that the center hits the ground, the strike comes out of it. So you've got a little bit more of a flexible movement. And that means that when the strike's impacting, you've got a kind of solid force behind it. Imagine like the easy way is like pushing a car or something, pushing a heavy object. You've got the weight in the ground and then the movement's coming out of it. But imagine pushing something. That same kind of idea. So just looking at the very last part of the strike. And also working like number 2, the same idea. The center hits the ground, the strike comes out of it. So you got a little bit more of a wave through the strike. And also with number 3, it's the same. I don't want to kind of lock together, and I don't want to let the strike happen or land from a kind of ungrounded position. So let the center hit the ground, let the strike come out. Just play with the last 5–10% of the strike. And again, keeping that idea, to go back to this idea of really mobilizing the body, so really taking different directions, different movements. But again, keep that idea of really grounding the movement so the hips, center's hitting the ground. So it's kind of double, you've got the ground with the center and the extension out with the jump. Very flexible motion. Great, we'll just start with a really simple combination and then we'll follow it later in the next class. So go into now the fourth subgroup, to the top, so the fifth subgroup, and over, and finding the strike. Just nice basic, but really conscious of this sense of grounding the strike. And even though it's basic, try and get this sense of a flexible movement from the center out. Got the ground underneath the strike. Ground underneath as you raise, and the ground underneath as you make that your form. Great. The last few, just following that same idea, keep the body now. Nice basic movement, but start to unlock the movement a little bit. So start taking on different directions. Yeah, at any point in the movement. Keep a nice balanced position. So I'm really trying to find the middle end of the strike, or that up position of the jump. A little bit more. The direction, just exploring forward. Okie dokie, great. We'll take a break for that. So we'll continue with the Joe after. Just follow on from the class. So we'll start again. Great. So, arigato.
Domo, arigato, gozaimashita.
Okie dokie, great. A quick break.